Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? We are so glad you're with us today. What an exciting broadcast we have for you today. You know, you guys know how we've been really pulling for those kids in Hong Kong and the struggle for 13 weeks to keep democracy alive. And why in the world would the communist regime of President Xi want to kill the golden goose? I mean, what are you doing, you know? But communists, they don't like to let go, guys. They don't like to let go unless their hands are forced. And it's a double whammy, folks, because what happened is today, the mayor of Hong Kong announced, she went on national television, she announced, you win, we're dropping this resolution. There will be no extradition bill for anyone who is suspected of a crime to be sent to Beijing for trial. No. And because of that, they are dancing in the streets. And the best day ever on Hong Kong's market, up 4%. How's that for freedom? How's that for a little democracy, a little freedom? And these kids aren't done. They want 4 more points, and which is easy to do. I think if I'm President Xi, I do that in the next half hour and get it done. But so guess what, guys? Hong Kong markets are up. There's joy. There's hope. U.S. market up by over 275 points. We'll see where it winds up. Silver is skyrocketing. It jumped 40 cents today. Are you serious? Where's this thing going? I need to understand what's happening. So let's bring in the man, the legend, the answers he has from noblegoldinvestments.com. It's Colin Plume. Colin, great to have you on the broadcast today.
Pastor Paul, it's always a pleasure. And, like you said, freedom is abounds. And what happened in Hong Kong is a true sentiment to people and fighting for what they believe in, and, not allow, as much as people might not realize what a big deal this is. These kind of countries, that these extradition treaties can be devastating for freedom, and it's a huge victory for them. And guess what? The markets react. The markets, when you have freedom and you have people are allowed to live and speak, the markets react. So it's definitely a happy situation in Hong Kong.
And Colin, also, we see this hope and peace and relief. A lot of good Christians in Hong Kong. That's what I was going to say also, is that, there's a lot of folks that understands what it means to have freedom and have freedom to worship, as well as freedom of democracy and freedom of the free trade. And our market up right now, I guess, 210. We'll see where it winds up. But also, here's something, and it shows you that freedom works, democracy works, free enterprise works, free trade works. And so I think it's exciting. But Colin, also, we're noticing here gold and silver looking good. And silver, since you've been here, since it's been in about a month, silver is climbing. And I just noticed today it skyrockets another 41 cents on the ounce. I mean, what's going on here, Colin?
Yeah, so, since June, silver's up 36%.
Wow.
So that's a number that, if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see the chart of that growth. Noble Gold Facebook. We post every day, basically, something about what's happening in the market. It's not always like this, but and I've said this for years, and this is backed up by math. Gold and silver don't move slow. There's never, if you look at the historic charts, when you have crisis with the dollar, you have heavy inflation, even though the government's not reporting the true inflation. You look at the early 80s. When you have those kinds of situations, you look at 2008 to 2011. That's when the money supply really, you have a huge money supply. Gold and silver skyrocket. So even though silver's above 19, it's still, the all-time high for silver is $49. Has a lot of room to grow, but it moves very quickly. It always has done that. I think hopefully it's setting some new floors. That's what we're hoping, is that you have some floors of 18, 19, and that's kind of the bottom now. And now we're looking to break through $20 and $25. But yeah, it's definitely moved. Gold has moved also, but not as rapidly as silver. Silver, it's used in everything. It's industrial metal. It's used in cell phones, computers, solar energy. I mean, it was bound to happen. The U.S. Mint guarantee will run out of silver eagles this year. There'll be a rush on those beautiful coins. So we're going to see a lot of things happen. And the Fed has said they're going to continue to cut interest rates to hopefully, grow the economy or get us out of this recession, which it could work, but it is going to hurt the value of our dollar, and that means the cost of goods are going to go up with the value of our dollar dropping.
Yeah, that's always something people wonder about, and they think about, why would the prices go up if the currency goes down? But it makes sense because it's inflation, really. It's, and obviously you have to adjust accordingly. Folks, it's Colin Plume with us from noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. You can always call them also, especially if you're thinking about that gold IRA, that change into gold IRA. Pick up the phone and call them 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Talk to Colin Plume, one of the associates there. And Colin, you're speaking of those beautiful coins. I just can't help it. I have it right here on my desk. I have this beautiful Trump coin, and I know this month you guys are featuring the Trump coin as well as the 10-ounce silver bar. And
absolutely, yeah, that's our most popular combo. I think it's a lot of silver. It's a great price for the silver. But I think with the bar, people love the United We Stand. I think there's been so much separation in our country, and the idea that we're united, I think is really important. And I think that's one of the things that as we move into the elections and things, I think we need to try to get back where people, whatever side of the aisle they're on, people need to realize that we're this country. We're all part of this country, and maybe we disagree on different things that are happening, but we're all Americans, and hopefully that continues to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of turmoil happening all different parts of the world, but I think ultimately everybody wants to live in a happy place. They want to live in a safe place, which is one of the things that President Trump is. I think that he's not. The problem with him is that he's not a politician in terms of he doesn't hide his intentions. If you look at every negotiation, even with the tariffs with China, he's just blatantly said that U.S. needs to win. We need to start winning in these negotiations, and I think that's the curveball in the world in terms of negotiation. Usually, you don't tell the other party exactly what you're trying to achieve, and so that's that's sort of interesting. But that's his approach. And I think ultimately that's we do want to win as Americans. We don't want to give up so much in terms of trade. But you take these kind of stances with the tariffs, and there's going to be repercussions. And for every action, there's an opposite reaction to it on the other side. And I think that's what we're reacting to in the economy, is that we're seeing the tariffs having some kind of effect on the economy, plus the Fed's trying to recover in terms of rates. There's a lot of debt out there. There's, this bubble, this, $21-22 trillion, this cannot last forever. I know we kick the can down the street, but it can't last forever. So we have to eventually deal with these problems.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is having a sound financial policy in this country, and having less debt, and focusing on our currency being strong. It doesn't help us making our currency weak, and it definitely doesn't help people that are wanting to retire. People that are wanting to retire with their dollar losing as much as it's losing right now, it does not help you if the cost of gasoline goes from $3 to, by the time the next 10, 15 years, if it goes to 5 or 6 or 7, that doesn't help you retire. So there's some short-term fixes in here, but ultimately that our money needs to be held as a currency, and it can't just be devalued, and we've got to stay focused on that.
You bring up a great point, because people work their whole life, they save their money, they got the 401k, or maybe they got the gold IRA from noblegoldinvestment.com. which you guys can help people with all the time. And I mean, you're dealing with this every day. People they retire, they got the 401k, maybe they get an insurance settlement, or maybe they get an inheritance, and they come to you guys. And there's one to put the money away for a while. But if the money isn't got the same value, if 10 years from now, if their money's only worth a third of what it needs to be in as far as buying power is concerned, then then they're out working part-time jobs, after they're 75 years old, and that's not the American dream, is it?
No, and I think it goes back to and I can't think of the congressman's name, but what he's trying to do is allow people to invest their own money, because the problem right now with Social Security, whether it's going to be there or not, let's say it is there when most people are ready to retire, the amount of money is not going to be enough. That's the issue. For some people, it's going to be $500-600, and then maybe for people that made a lot of money and never took any out, they waited until they're 70. Maybe they're going to be at the $3,000 level, but most people are going to be in the middle of that at some point. Excuse me, but that money that's not going to buy you much going forward. And that once you start taking it out, that's it. You can't adjust it. So these are things that people need to start thinking about, and how are they going to keep up with the cost of living. And that's scary. So people do call us in regards to that. But I think it's ultimately what it is that people today, even though it looks great in the economy, it looks great in the stock market, everything looks good, keep your expenses low, keep your costs, live below your means, save, invest the money wisely, and be a good person and pray and focus on those things, and everything will work out in the end. But I think ultimately, like right now is a good time to hunker down, be smart, be diligent, which I know off the air you and I have always talked about, is just being diligent with our money, being frugal. And I think if people live by that and they focus on that, whether you're into gold or whatever we do, if you hear this part of what I'm saying, make sure you just keep your costs low, keep your monthly expenses low, and if you do that, you live a great life.
And it's really true, folks. Great advice here. Colin Plume is with us. And look, the combo coin thing that he talked about earlier, you get the President of the United States, the 45th President, Donald J. Trump. Okay, there's the front and the back of the beautiful 1 ounce silver coin. You get that with this beautiful 10 ounce silver bar of United We Stand. Engraved on the back, of course, is the American flag. And if you use the promo code Paul Begley 25, you will save $25 on this combo. And it's a great gift, okay? It's a great gift maybe for your uncle. Maybe you want to keep it for your own collection. Maybe it's for your father. Or get the gold one. I wish I had that one. It's just getting more prettier all the time. The gold Trump coin is really nice, guys. And if you can save $100 on that, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that right?
Use the code Paul. One question, too, that people ask me, I just wanted to get it out there on your show, Paul, is that some people will call in and ask if the coins were minted in the U.S. Yes, absolutely. The coins were minted in the U.S. I know it seems obvious, but don't think that we would mint or use a mint outside of the U.S. These are U.S. minted coins. We're a U.S. company, so all the money is staying in the United States.
Oh yes, you guys are all about America. You guys are all about America. I mean, this is a freedom. This Christian company. They're family owned. They're American made. They're American all the way. I love noblegoldinvestment.com. Great company, folks. Colin, okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the global things that are happening, because we talk about currency. Colin, I get an email or two every day about the Iraqi dinar. I mean, I got folks that are there's people out there who's got quite a bit of this dinar, and they've been sitting on it for 10 years. Is it ever going to get devalued, in your opinion? And if so, I mean, what do you see happening? How would they do that even?
We get the same calls, just so you know. And I hope it does, because there's a lot of people that are sort of banking on this. But it's hard to think about the promise that was made to these people, and it actually makes me sad because it gives people that are in the industry of currency and in a way gold and silver, we're sort of in the same boat, and it kind of gives us a bad name because there was a lot of promises made for this.
Let's speak to that. Colin, let's speak to two promises that I know were made out there. One is that the dinar, the Iraqi dinar, that thing is going to get revalued. Now, I'm hearing, again, this is going to have to be a rumor mill, but I do have some really good sources, and I spoke to some guys down in Florida that are some pretty heavy financial guys, and they told me, they said, look, they've got some dinars, and they know that Jared Kushner has a lot of money in dinars, a lot. And that leads me to think that there's a possibility before the Trump administration is done, some kind of revaluation of the dinar may happen. And that maybe it's tied to this peace deal that they're talking about working out here. Who knows? I mean, that could be on the table. The other thing I think we've heard is Trump loves the gold standard. And so those are two things that could maybe happen before President Trump leaves office. Do you know, have you heard anything on the rumor mill or anything in your own thoughts? And I'm not holding it to you.
What I would say is that if Jared Kushner has some dinar, when you're someone that has that level of wealth, you're always going to take 5 or 10 or 15 or 20% of your net worth, probably on a yearly or every few years, and you're gonna gamble on a return that can go 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 times your investment. Because if you do that every year, and 1 out of the 5 or 10 years you hit the right one, you'll make more money. And so that's my guess, because he's obviously owns a tremendous amount of real estate. Those are very safe, conservative investments. And I think he also owns some gold and silver, that this was one of the riskier investments that he took a sort of a gamble on. And it's sort of like what I talk about with cryptocurrency, except that I think cryptocurrency, now that it's been more stable, now that it's more accepted, I think the risk has dropped significantly now that you can buy it on the exchanges, now that all of these places are accepting Bitcoin as currency or Litecoin. I mean, you can go to a Miami Dolphins game now and you can buy the tickets with Litecoin.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's another NFL team that is accepting it, and I think the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA are accepting Litecoin also, which you can buy. I think you can buy merchandise or tickets.
That's huge. I didn't know that, Colin. I mean, that's huge because that's big time sports saying we'll work with that currency. Yeah. That's saying America's willing to work with a cryptocurrency, which is not regulated by the Fed chair.
Yep, absolutely, and that's the exciting thing about it, is that it's they've been able to feel comfortable that they can allow people to spend money with it, and I think for people that are sitting with some Litecoin or Bitcoin, and the idea that they can go on and go to a game or buy tickets, it makes perfect sense, because some people think of the money as it's almost like casino chips. They don't think it's real money, and now they can actually go out and spend it someplace. So I think those kind of riskier investments are should be focused on people that have the wealth to take that complete loss. And so cryptocurrencies are becoming more acceptable in the world, and those things are starting to happen more readily. The price of the cryptocurrencies, especially Bitcoin this year, is up tremendously. I think it was sitting at 3,500. Now we're at 9,500, 9,600, somewhere in that range. So we've obviously seen some growth, but I think that in terms of those currencies, you can kind of see where things are going, and the idea that those transactions are verified on the blockchain gives people that comfort. So not to digress too much, but ultimately what we've always talked about is being diversified. Those things are risky. Those are riskier investments. Any fiat money, the Iraqi dinar ultimately comes out. It's a fiat currency And you always have to be careful for those. And even the dollar, they're all fiat money. They're all can just be printed out of thin air. And, we just talk about having, focusing on things that have a limited supply. Gold and silver, even real estate has a limited supply. These are things that can't just be printed out of thin air. And I think if you have a few of these different investments and you're diversified, that's the key. And then you can sleep better at night. And that's the one thing, a lot of the reviews have been coming over the last 30 days. People have just been saying, like, I'm just sleeping better at night knowing that I have some gold and silver, that I'm diversified, and I don't have all my eggs in one basket. And I think that's the key to financial security.
Yeah, it's great advice. Folks, again, this is Colin Plume at noblegoldinvestment.com. noblegoldinvestments.com. You can call them also at 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Colin Plume is an expert in the area that can help you with your financial portfolio. I mean, especially if you're just now getting ready to retire, you got that nest egg, maybe you've got that 401k that you've worked on all this time. Do you want to leave it there in a market that's, maybe you don't want to leave it all. I'm with Colin Plume. You never want to leave everything in one place. I mean, you gotta diversify. Some of it in the stock market, yes. Some of it just in savings, and some of it which won't earn you any money really. You might want to get an IRA. You want to go a gold IRA they have, or precious metals. Look at silver. Look at gold. Look what's going on. I don't see silver crashing, okay? It was already pretty well low as it was going to get. It's on the rise now. The question is, how high does it go? I think there's room to grow, and we'll see what happens with it. But Colin knows, and these guys will walk you through it, and that's okay, Colin. And, as you're thinking about what you're going to do, as you're thinking about what you're going to do as an individual, pray about it. And you then get some good, solid advice from a Christian company, family-owned company like noblegoldinvestments.com. And so don't go out and buy a gazillion dinars. But for those of you who have, don't lose faith. Okay, just hang in there, because there is some possibility. What about oil? What's going on? I mean, oil down to $56 a barrel. I mean, it's good for the U.S. economy. What does this mean long term as far as stock market and that kind of thing?
It's been in the 50s for a while. I think people got concerned when it was in the high 30s 8-10 years ago. But obviously we're as much as we're moving into cars that are electric, there's still huge demand for that, and I think it's a pretty safe bet there. And one thing I always talk about with diversification, and I as things happen in the world, the one place you don't need to be diversified is actually Pastor Paul Begley's show, because you cover everything. I've been watching more of your show recently, and you're like right on every kind of thing happening in the world. And it's interesting because I think you obviously talk about your experience with God and what's happening there, but you're also sort of hip to everything that's going on. And I think if people don't realize that, they should, because you really are on top of stuff. Sometimes I go to the news, I see what's happening, and I go to your show, and I get some good tidbits. And so I thank you for that. And I've been enjoying your show, especially with the 3 young kids that I have at home. I'm on YouTube and watching a lot, so I appreciate you. On a side note.
Well, I appreciate that, Colin. I really do. And I guess we, as a pastor and as doing what I do as far as trying to help people deal with world and life, real life, with the Bible, and studying eschatology at the same time, you kind of do have to have your hands around about everything going on, a little bit of something. Yeah. I'm not an expert in anything, Colin. That's the scary thing about this. I'm just the shovel. I'm the guy with the barely skimming the surface. Okay, I don't ever go too deep anywhere. That's dangerous. Okay, so I'm the shade tree mechanic. I'm the guy, I'm the uncle that kind of knows something, but not much. Yeah. So really, I'm going to stay there. Okay, it's safer.
No, I appreciate it, and I also think you do a good job of bringing some levity to some pretty dire and serious situations, and I think you have a positivity, and I think that's the thing that I always think about when I think of you, is that there's going to be difficult times in your emotional life, your financial life, and I think the thing that you've always been able to do is give people that kind of ray of hope, just by your voice and your humor and life, and obviously you're on the air and you got your family there, and it's it's just a family. It's all family. You're a people person, and I think that's what people, if they haven't, anytime they're looking for a different perspective, I think tuning in your show will help them deal with that, frankly, because it gives them some kind of, because you can get warped in your own world and some negativity. I think you do a good job of shaking people and getting them out of that, and I'm sure everybody watching appreciates it.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. It's really nice, and I really accept that. That's coming from you, and I think that your company has showed some great poise and great balance with, and that's why we feel comfortable about telling people to go there to noblegoldinvestments.com. I feel very comfortable saying, look, go there, let them talk to you. They will talk to you in real world time, and understand people's time, where they are in their life, and that's important. Folks, again, that's right there. You see the Trump coin, but if you go to noblegoldinvestments.com, you can get both that beautiful 1 ounce pure silver, 99.9999% pure silver Trump coin, along with the 10 ounce United We Stand gold bar. Save $25 by using the promo code Paul Begley 25 and get this gift. I think you'd really enjoy it, or get it early. Get it now for Christmas to give to someone. You talk about if somebody's really loves President Trump, and it's that brother-in-law that you just know, he's irritating you all the time, but this is one time you want to take the edge off. Give him this for Christmas. He'll really say, hey,
Absolutely.
How do people get through the holidays? I want to ask you, Colin, how do people get through the holidays when half the family is leaning one way and the half the family is...
It's not easy. I think, there's two things at the dinner table that, you were taught to avoid, and it seems to never, politics and religion.
Right.
Those are the two things you probably want to avoid at the family gatherings. But I've never been to one that it hasn't come up, and so I don't know how people do it, but it's
we do.
Like you said, it's part of family. It's part of being together.
What we do is we get together, and our family's about that. It's about they're half's leaning one way and half's leaning the other. My mom is great at that because it always happens accidentally. But somebody starts in one thing and somebody in the other, and then my mom says, "Okay, time out. It's time to go play bingo." Okay.
Yes.
And we do. We actually play family bingo. We call it dirty bingo. And everybody brings these little gifts, and we put them all out there. And everybody, from my dad, mom, to all the littlest kids, everybody's got bingo cards. We play bingo, and we're swipe. Okay, so somebody gets the flashlight. Okay, John's got the flashlight over here, but the next guy wins the bingo, and he goes and he could get his own gift, but he takes John's flashlight. Okay, right. Now John's got to go get some. It's just the politics falls off the table then when we get there. So
absolutely, and I wonder, is there anybody that tries to cheat in that game?
My mom.
Bingo, or
my mother's the worst. My mother is the worst. She cheats every time. Oh man, it's great. It's great. Anyway, hey, Colin, really appreciate you coming on here. Okay, tell them one more time, Colin. It'd be a good time, I think. Silver's rising, gold. Good time to get into some precious metals, wouldn't you say, to help diversify?
I think it's a great time. I think it's a good time to get educated. That's what we always talk about. So I think if you call in and you talk to any of the reps, you'll be surprised. They're going to take their time with you, and at the end of the day, you got to make your own financial decisions for your future, and we're just here if this works for you. But just give us a call. We'll give you the information and let you make an informed decision.
Folks, again, it's been a pleasure to have Colin Plume with us, and tell you what, he's starting now his own podcast. He started his own podcast. You just interviewed Mike Gallagher. You just told me that. So how can people find it?
Yeah, it was an incredible interview. Mike Gallagher is everything that you hear on the radio. He's exactly the same, and he talks about his life, and we talk about how he gets started. So if you're interested, it'll be out next Tuesday. We also interviewed Gerald Salenti this week. That's on the podcast, Noble Gold Podcast. Very funny guy, very interesting perspective on him and his life. And so, yeah, if anyone's looking, it's going to be 15, 20 minutes, so it's quick and easy, and hopefully we'll have you on, Pastor Paul, in the future. I'd love to dive into you and your life a little bit. So thanks for the plug.
All right. So where do they find it? Over at your website at Noble Gold?
No, if you go to Apple Podcasts, it's just Noble Gold Podcast, or any of the places that people find podcasts. They just go to Noble Gold Podcast, and we'll have new content and new interviews every week. We're going to talk about gold. We're going to talk about people's lives, a lot of different interesting topics, cryptocurrency. Everything will be light and not too heavy on finance stuff, but I think people are going to learn a lot about people that we talk to every day, learn about their lives. We want to talk to entrepreneurs that have had great success and how they did it, how they balance their work-life balance. So it's going to be a lot of different topics.
All right. I look forward to checking it out. I really do. So again, Colin Plume, we really appreciate you being with us at noblegoldinvestments.com, folks. That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. And Colin, thank you for being a guest today and being with us on this broadcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Pastor Paul. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, we'll be back again with another powerful broadcast. Now, I will not be broadcasting tonight live. My son and granddaughter is coming in from California to spend a few days with us. I'm going to be getting out the golf clubs. Are you serious? So no program tonight, but I will be back with you guys tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, all right? Plus, I'll keep you up to speed on everything with some YouTube videos. God bless all of you. We'll see you next time.